This is a moment of truth. We're losing daylight, so we're gonna try it. We gotta try it now. Got a big fire extinguisher there, all ready to go. We know we have fuel. We have spark. Hopefully this thing fires into life. And here we go. Welcome back to Living with a Classic on this very cold and windy day. We're down here in my storage. If you saw the previous video, you know what this is. Otherwise, let me just explain real quick. It is a 1983 Jaguar XJS V12 V12. It's been sitting since about 2001, and it doesn't run. It's a friend of mine's car. He sent it down here, and in hopes that maybe I can get it going, get it back on the road. So in this video, the goal is to get it running, hopefully. If we do, see if we have any brakes, see if we can have a transmission, and if we can go for a drive. So let's have a brief look around it, and we'll try and get it running. He has done a couple things, because I have helped him a little bit over the phone. He has replaced the ECU, because I think that's why the car was parked. So, car was used regularly, and it was last inspected in the fall, I believe, of 2001, driven into a storage for the winter, and it did not start in spring. And somehow it sat there for 20 years, and then he bought it. So when he got the car, the fuel pump would not energize at all, so I sent him up a spare ECU. That solved that issue, so the fuel pump is running. He'd also before that replaced the fuel pump, so that is new. Fuel pump runs. He tells me it has sparks, and he tells me it turns over, and he tells me that it's not getting any fuel. He has tried with some easy starting fluid, and he says it does sort of want to spark into life, but it doesn't really fully run. So let's have a look and see if we can get this thing running. As you know, I usually don't want to work on cars down here because I do have a heated workshop up there, but it's a hill up there and can't get this thing in there. So once we get it running, I can bring it up into the workshop a little bit later. I have some other cars working on in there, and then we can go through everything and basically bring this thing back on the road so he can drive it and enjoy it for the summer. It is a right-hand drive, brought registered here in Sweden, so it's been imported from the UK at some point. It's fairly low miles, I believe, not that much at all. And yeah, here we have the engine. I have checked there is oil in it. We're going to check that there's coolant in it. The only thing I have done is I charged up the battery, I connected it up, and I made sure that the starter turns over. I had a little bit of an issue because there is an immobilizer here with, let me get the keys, with a little tag that you need to touch on there to get all that going. And I wanted to do that off camera just to make sure that works. So it makes a terrible noise until you deactivate it when the battery's connected. So I unplugged the horn down here, which makes that sound for the alarm. And now it just sort of blinks, and I got it to deactivate because when the immobilizer was on, it would not crank. Otherwise, like I said, I've charged up the battery, and other than that, just open to air everything out a bit. There's a bit of moisture in it. I'm going to remove all the things later, but he replaced the fuel pump and the fuel filter, and we got the old fuel pump there, so maybe this one's actually a good one. We'll see. He's bought a new battery. I've charged it up and checked it. It's in fine working order. So, yeah, otherwise, I can see a couple of weird things here. I can see that this crossover pipe here is disconnected, so I'm going to use two hands to connect that up. This is completely normal for an early HE. These would be for cold start injectors, which were not used. Other than that, there is one other little odd thing over there, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But what I want to do is we'll connect up the battery, see that it still cranks over, check if we have spark, and we'll go from there. I'll connect up the battery now, and I do have that alarm disconnected, but I do believe that the hazards should be on. You can probably see that. Just make sure I have a good here. There we go. And yep, the hazards are on. Got this little tag here. Okay, that turned off the immobilizer. It's in park. I just want to see if it still cranks over like it did yesterday. Just make sure. And hope you can hear that. Fuel pump did energize, and alright, it cranks over. Let's get a spark tester on there and see if we have any spark. This is just one of these cheap spark testers you can get in most parts stores. So I'm just going to choose this one right here because it's easy to get to. And how it works is you connect one end to the spark plug and one end to the HC lead there. There's a little light in there, which I believe it blinks red on this one. Okay, we got a connection there. And a connection in there. And I should be able to see that from within the car. And I hope that you guys will see it. Let's see if we have any blinking from there. Yeah, it is blinking away. I've moved you guys over here so you should be able to see the blinking. Yeah, that is blinking away. So we do have spark. Next thing I want to do is check for fuel. Let's do the old sniff test over here. Smells pretty old. I actually haven't checked if he's tried to put new fuel in it or not. I think he has because there's a jerry can back there. But yeah, let's try a couple of things. I think we're gonna open up one of the fuel lines up there. So we'll disconnect the battery just to be completely safe, and I'm gonna go get a 19 millimeter, and then we can have a look if we have any fuel up the fuel rail. So on these V12, the fuel comes in up here, goes to this fuel pressure regulator, which he has replaced because he wasn't getting any fuel out here, he told me. And then it goes in here through the rail out here to this other fuel pressure regulator, and then it goes back. So one thing I didn't mention before is when we were cranking it, I heard ticking. So I do believe at least some injectors are firing, so that is a good thing. That means that they're getting a trigger signal. ECU. Let's just see if we have any fuel here. So far, nothing. Okay, so I just got this plastic bottle here. We're gonna see if we can try it. Set that in there like that really carefully, and I'll hook up the battery again, and we'll cycle the key a couple times and see if we get fuel in here. Battery's connected again, immobilizer is also disabled, and let's see if we're getting any fuel in there. I'm just going to cycle the key for the fuel pump, and if we do get fuel, we'll see what it looks like. Okay, nothing yet. Let's cycle it a couple times. Okay, I don't think we've got anything. Let me double check. Nope, nothing. It's completely dry. I don't know. I guess see what's going on. So I left the ignition on now for a little bit because I don't know if gauges or anything work, but let's see if it has a fuel gauge. Nope, that is completely at the bottom. So what if we're just really low on fuel? Because to my mind, it really sounds like the pump is not getting any fuel. And how it works on the XJS is you have a tank back here, this is green thing here, and then that is gravity fed down into a surge tank here, and that goes to the pump. So I'm not sure. Let's do one more thing. Turn off the ignition, and we will crack the incoming fuel line up there, see if we're getting anything there. Maybe we have a faulty new fuel pressure regulator, you never know. Make sure we're getting fuel there or not getting fuel there, whatever the case is. And if not, I think I have a little bit of fuel laying around, not too much, but maybe 5 liters or so. Can pour it in the tank and see if that helps. Battery is disconnected, so let's see if we have anything up here. I mean, at least I'm getting a smell of sort of bad fuel from there. I don't know. Oh, come on. Well, I'm just being tired and going the wrong way. Okay. We are getting something up here. It really just sounded like air. Okay. But definitely not like a major amount of fuel up here. Normally I'd say that, I mean, you'd have some fuel dropping up there. Not very much, but a little bit. I unfortunately don't have a ton of fuel at home at the moment. This is maybe a quarter in here or something. I just poured some in the XJS, my 1975 XJS, which is at Dan's house. The guy owns his car. He's a body guy, so he's going to be fixing some paint and rust issues on that one. And I poured just a bit of fuel of that so you could move it around if you needed to. But I really hate this jerkin. It's not the best. But I don't know. I was kind of expecting. I mean, if he tried to get it going, I haven't actually asked him. But I guess I could possibly put fuel on it. And why I didn't check this first is because, well, I wanted to see what the fuel looked like, and if it came up there any fuel and it looked really bad, let's see this thing had a full tank of fuel, and it was really bad looking, then I wanted to, flush the tank. Okay, sadly that was not a lot of fuel at all, but maybe it's enough to get some fuel down into that surge tank. Let me put this bottle in place again over here. Pretty good. I did connect up the other, incoming fuel line. Let's see. This is definitely not perfect, but we just want to see if we're getting any fuel. I'm going to cycle this a couple times and see if anything at all happens. Okay, I don't think we're getting anything, but let me double check. Okay, a little bit of a recap here. We'll take a short break. We're not getting fuel up there, and I'm not sure how much in the tank at all. Don't know if the fuel gauge works at all. If it does work, it does show pretty empty, but not really sure. And I don't have any more fuel at home, unfortunately. So the next thing is I got two choices. One is go get more fuel, pour that in. I will need more fuel anyways, but do I want to pour that in the tank and hope that that sort of primes the pump, gravity feeds it? But I may need to remove the tank if there's an obstruction, so that would just be a pain if I pour in a bunch of fuel. Or I remove the hose that goes to the fuel pump and see if we have any fuel there. That will be kind of messy to do, but I think that is the next thing to do. Empty out the boot area, remove the carpet, because I want to see if we got any fuel there. and batteries of course disconnected. Let's put this big rag all around here. Normally I would try one of these to clamp off the fuel, but this hose is definitely original and or very old at least, so it doesn't really seem like that's a possibility. Maybe we're gonna replace all of this anyways when it does run, but no, that's not doing anything. It's pretty rock solid, but we're gonna see if we open up here and we do get fuel or not. Okay, let's see. This should come off relatively easily because he has changed out the fuel pump. Oh, that's like rock solid hose. Let me just get a piece of plier and just move that back and forth, and we should get that off. Let's give this another shot here. Okay, we're getting nothing at all. It could be several things. Fuel goes from here into the surge tank up here. So either we are definitely out of fuel, which I wouldn't expect. You know, I would expect him to put fuel in it. But you never know. Sometimes it's the simple things. Or we have a blockage somewhere. Or I just realized maybe the tank is not venting. So let's remove the gas cap. Okay, that made no difference. I'm gonna hook that back up and go get some fuel a little bit later, and I think we'll go from there. Maybe it actually just needs some fuel. A couple hours have passed. It's the evening now, and I got some fuel. My wife was running some errands, so I asked her to pick some up. So I poured in 10 liters of fresh fuel. And I did the exact same thing as before. I put that in there and I opened up here, and yes, fuel came out of there now. So that was good. And I also heard the surge tank get filled up. I found one more thing which we'll have to address. There's a bit of a kink down there in the high pressure line that goes off the pump. Line's a little bit too short, I think. I have tried to bend the pump over a little bit so there's not as much of a kink. So hopefully that will flow fuel for now, or replace all the hoses if this thing runs. But I think that should be good for now. We'll hook up the battery. I still have that fuel line disconnected up there with the bottle so we can see if we're getting fuel out there, but I really think we are going to get fuel this time. Battery's connected again. I fixed everything with the immobilizer. So keep your eyes on that bottle there. Hopefully we will see a bit of fuel come through there. Okay, the pump sounds a lot different. It's getting fuel now. Yep, we're hearing air get spelled out. I'm just gonna make sure. See what this looks like already. Okay, we got nothing here yet, but that was the sound of the fuel pressure regulator doing something at least. I'm hearing fuel go through, and yeah, fuel just went into that plastic bottle over there. Let's see if it's a little bit varnishy looking. So yeah, I'm gonna empty this out, and then we'll do that one more time just to flush the line a little bit more. Let's try that one more time. Alright, that should be enough. I'll get that off again. We'll hook up that line again where it's supposed to be, and then I'm going to show you one more thing I found which we're going to have to do something about. That's back on there, and we'll prime everything one more time just to make sure that we don't have any leaks. But I think my friend was trying to troubleshoot a couple things, and this is the return fuel line, and he clamped that off for some reason. I don't really know why with a vice grip, but alright, I need 2 hands. Let me get that off, and then we'll pressure test everything, make sure there are no leaks. If all that's fine, we can see if this thing starts. Everything should be connected back up now, so I will prime this thing a couple times just to make sure that we don't have any leaks, and also to get any possible air out of the system. Let's do it one more time. And I'm going to go around with just a flashlight on my phone, just to make sure we don't have any leaks. And I'll check that hose over there that was cracked off before. I did take a pair of pliers to sort of massage it a little bit so that it would come around again, but we're going to replace all of this. Things started looking good, I think. This is a moment of truth. We're losing daylight, so we're going to try it. We got to try it now. Got a big fire extinguisher there, all ready to go. We know we have fuel. We have spark. Hopefully this thing fires into life. And here we go. Oh my god, we're getting somewhere. Yes! We got light. It's definitely not at all 12, but it is running. The engine don't seem to be working. It's not showing any oil pressure, but I think the oil pressure light went out. There we go. We'll shut it down and just make sure we don't have any leaks. Let's see if the oil pressure light's coming on again. We definitely have some electrical issues with the gauge cluster. I don't know if it's building oil pressure or not, but we'll have to wait, see if the warning light comes out. I don't remember if we had the warning light before, but it doesn't knock, doesn't sound any weird noises. It's definitely not running in all cylinders. There could be a couple injectors down, and I do have some tricks up my sleeve to get injectors back to life. But yeah, let's try it one more time. We are definitely down a cylinder at least on each side. Probably we're down on that side, and down 1 on that side and down 2 on that side. So we got a V9 going, but it's running. Sorry about the light here, but I just wiggled the connections up here, both for the oil pressure warning light and for the sender. I just want to see if I get some indication I do have oil pressure. Otherwise, we have to put a mechanical gauge or something there. We have the oil pressure warning light. Did not have that before, I think. That does go out. So, definitely have oil pressure. Gauge doesn't work, but we can work on that a little bit later. Got low coolant light. I did check it has coolant. It looked a little bit low and murky, but we'll add some distilled water for now. Oil pressure gauge came up, and it's showing maybe 60 pounds of oil pressure. So really good. But we're gonna shut it down for now, and then we'll continue with some other things because we want to see if we can get this thing driving as well. Alright, so this is always exciting, getting a car running that hasn't run for 20 years. But we're not going to get ahead of ourselves and, you know, like running for too long and try and break anything. Now we know that we have oil pressure, good oil pressure as well. So that's really good, but I think we're going to consider having a look at other things, make sure to add some coolant. I'll just use distilled water for now because we're going to flush the coolant system. We're also going to replace the oil and everything a little bit later. So I'm going to check it once more just to see what it feels like. I mean, it was fresh stuff before, so could be good enough just to idle it around, but I think we'll change it pretty soon. However, we want to see if it drives, but I think we've done really well for the first day. And I think the big thing about will it drive is will it stop, and that's the brakes. We're going to go through them fully later, but I want to have some brakes before I drive this thing. And I'll have a look inside here before it does not look good. I'll show you guys a little bit. And then I think tomorrow when the light's back, I'll put on a stethoscope and we'll listen and see if we have an injector that is down or if it is just a spark plug issue why it is missing on a couple cylinders. But it's most likely just an injector. It's been sitting for so long. And you can use a little bit of 12 volt, even though they don't run on 12 volt, I think they run on 3 or 4. But you can carefully zap them a little bit with some 12 volts. I've done that actually on the XJS convertible as well when that sat for about 2 years to get 2 injectors back into life. Works really well. But really happy about these things. But I think before we have a look at the bad news in here, let's just hear this baby run one more time. Hey, I actually think we have a 12. No, we don't have a 12 cylinder, but we have a... It's very even, so it could be a 10 cylinder at the moment, but we're definitely getting there. Alright, one more thing before we end the day. That does not look the greatest. It's quite common. There's an aluminum part here that is a sensor for the fluid level, and that's not like water, which brake fluid, as you know, attracts water. But it doesn't look too bad under the filter, so we'll take that out, clean it out. I'll suck up that fluid. We'll put fresh brake fluid in, and I mean this level hasn't sunk down to here, so technically we shouldn't have to bleed anything for now. Like I said, we're going to go for everything later, of course, but I just want good enough brakes to be able to put my foot on the brake pedal and see if this thing has any gears, which hopefully it does. I checked the transmission fluid. It looks a little, you know, on the old side, but it doesn't smell burnt. So hopefully transmission is good. You know, we'll flush out all of that later. But this is definitely not bad for day one. Hasn't run in 20 years. This is 1983 Jaguar XJS V12. So it's the next day. Once again, really beautiful weather. And I've only done a couple things. I have cleaned out the brake reservoir, not perfectly, but good enough for what we're doing now, because we're going to go through the brakes and everything later. But what I want to do is, I want to see if it even has a brake pedal. And, well, the whole thing that we're getting it running here now is, I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but I need to get it up into my workshop in order to do the other things, because we're going to do all the hoses. That includes brake lines, check what the calipers are like and everything, but that will be done later. And now we're just going to see really if it drives. And I want to have a brake pedal if I'm going to put a car in gear. Okay, that is all filled up. I'll put the lid back on here, and then I'm going to forgot to grab just a rag and some cleaning supplies. I'm just going to clean up the driver's seat a little bit, get rid of a little bit of that mildew before I sit in the car. and then we'll have a feeling if we have a brake pedal or not. I'm going to do a thorough job later to clean this up, use some steam and an ozone machine and other things, but I just want to get rid of this so I don't have to sit on it. And I'm just using some baby wipes. Seems to work pretty well. This is really the worst of it up here. It's not perfect, but at least there's not a bunch of scary mold anymore. And I just want to see if we have a brake pedal. Yeah, that is some sort of pedal at least. So I think now we'll start it up, get a stethoscope. I want to see if the missing cylinders, if that is an injector thing, in case I can, bring them back to life, or if it's an ignition thing. We'll sort that later because we're gonna do plugs and wires and everything. But hook up the battery again, get my stethoscope out, see if we can figure out what's going on with the missing cylinders. Let's see how it fires up today. It's still pretty, cold out here. I'm hearing fuel circulate through, and yep, still have a fire extinguisher next to me. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I'm just going to use a stethoscope now and listen to all the injectors. They should be clicking loudly. All right. Rooster's enjoying the sun. We've got all of them clicking nicely, so misfire is definitely ignition related, hopefully ignition related, so it's not a major issue inside the engine, but I think it's going to be ignition related. One thing is I did add about 1 liter of water to the cooling system, but we still have the light on for the low level, so I'm going to open both caps now before it's warm, double check the level, maybe fill it up even more. And then it's time to see if this thing goes into gear. If it does, we'll see if we can drive around the block. I added about another 1/2 liter. Now it's it's over full the cooling system, so the rest will get go out the overflow. But let's see if that warning light has gone out. It's that one over there. So we have an issue with that. Oil pressure is coming up. I don't know if it is charging or not. See if that comes up, because the charge light did not come on, so maybe the alternator is not generalized yet. But let's see if it goes into gear. This feels very weird. This is the first time I drive a right-hand drive car. Okay, I think we had a gear there. Our power steering is not happy. There we go. Okay, I am not feeling any gears. And I don't know if I have any transmission fluid at home. Alright, I have a feeling we have no transmission. Hopefully it's low on fluid. I need to check if we even have any fluid at home. I had 1 liter of transmission fluid at home, so I've added that. Let's see if it shows anything on this thing. at the bottom, so it's still kind of low, but maybe enough to get drive. We're just below the minimum cold. But let's see if we can actually get it here. I think we have a gear. It's moving. Alright, let's see if we can drive it out of here. Let's check if it's charging. I don't think it is. It shows quite low on the gauge. It did turn over kind of slowly now when I started it up. Now we got 11.8, so definitely an issue with the charging system. It is not charging, but I did promise a drive just around the farm. So let's do that. Brought a big fire extinguisher and we're going to see how it goes. No point in trying to fix that misfire now that we don't have a charging system. But, oh, come on there. You see, it just wanted to go into life. We got a gear. And we're driving. This is my first right-hand drive driving experience. Feels very weird actually being on this side of the car. Speedo seems to be working. That is moving up. We still have 60 pounds of oil pressure. I am not going very far at all. We're just going to go down this road and back again. Just want to see that we have some gears. We have second. And we have third. Okay, we got all 3 gears. Just gently tap the brake pedal. Actually seems to be doing something. Cooling temperature is off the stop at least, so that is really good. But just right up here we're going to turn around where the road gets a little bit wider. If you hear that banging, that's just that the bonnet is not closed. I want to have it open in case something happens. I don't know if the latch was a little bit stuck when I tried to get it open before, so I need to lubricate all of that. But we'll try and turn around here, hopefully. We're gonna need reverse. Hope it works. Yep. We're definitely low on fluids in a lot of places, like the power steering and definitely the transmission. I felt it go in and out of drive there once, but that was a good shift. And now we're just gonna try and make it back. The funny thing is now about driving a right-hand drive here is that I find myself wanting to go on the left side of the road, which makes sense. So where normally I'm on the more of the right side of the road, I don't know, it's just, I guess I kind of understand this. All right, good news. The low level coolant light is out. So either that got fixed or something happened, don't know. Only warning light we got is seatbelts, and I think we're charging. It's up at 13 volts now. I'll show you guys the gauge cluster when we get back, and we'll get the multimeter out and just have another little look at that. We're meeting a car. This is a little scary because I definitely don't know where I have the car. It's weird sitting on this side. we'll check the power steering level as well, because that is definitely low, but this was just a very short little drive. Feels very loose in the front end, so I think we do have some issues with bushings and a couple other things. But whoa, yeah, brakes leave something to be desired. Put it in park. Let me show you guys the gauges. Voltage gauge came up. It was down in the red before, so maybe we do have some sort of charging. That is starting to come up. That's good as well. Oil pressure is, yep, it moves with RPM. Even the clocks works. But let me go get that multimeter and we'll see if we have a charging system. Okay, let's see. This will be difficult to do one-handed, I just realized, but I'll just try to shove that in there. I switched cameras. I used my little small camera when we go for a drive, and I'm just being lazy and not switching back to the other one. Oh, come on, maybe that one will stick in. There we go. 14. We do have a working charging system. And we got no smoke. We got dog toy. Missing at least one, possibly two cylinders on that side. We got all 6 on that side. So let's have a look under. Oh yeah, that's the confusing thing. You open it on that side, but then the latch is on this side. We've got some oil smoke back there from leaky valve covers. Just want to see if holding the revs up will help. Nah, that is definitely probably, since it's puffing a little bit sometimes, it feels like an ignition related issue. But yeah, I think we run this thing long enough for now. What a massive success. I'm just so happy about this. And the owner, yesterday I sent him a video of it starting and he was just really ecstatic. He's so looking forward to drive this thing this summer. And I really think that's going to be a possibility. I mean, I just drove it now and it's March. Definitely a lot of things left to do, but you gotta think, this was just 2 days ago, a non-running car sitting for 20 years. And it's not 2 full days. I spent maybe 2.5 hours just in some free time I had between other things doing this, and what a result. Yes, there's a lot of things it needs. It needs brakes. They're not the best. It needs transmission service and fluid. We're going to do all the fluids to the rear end and everything. It needs all the hoses. It needs ignition components. It needs a major service, but it's not rusty. It works. Everything seems to work. So overall, I think this is a good candidate. One thing I want to do when this thing cools down is I want to disconnect that fuel line again and put a bottle there again and see if the fuel is cleaner coming out now. Hopefully it is. Otherwise, maybe we'll have to go with a little camera inside the tank, possibly pull the tank and have a look at that. But it was stored inside for those 20 years. It's just been outside for about 6 months or so. So hopefully everything should be pretty fine. Anyways, I hope you guys really liked this video. And if you did and you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. There you see a lot more videos on this car and a lot more V12s and other cool Jags, and also just other interesting cars here on the channel. I want to thank my Patreons for the continued support of the channel. It really helps a lot. If you want to become a patron, there's a link down below. You get often early access to most videos and a few extra perks. So it's always really fun, and any funds, go back and help the channel. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit longer video of, one video of getting the whole vehicle running. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Anyways, until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.